Hi guys, Josh Collacchi here on RotoCurve, and just like every day, we're here to discuss each pitching slate. Today is June 30th. It's a Tuesday, and we will be discussing a few pitchers that we like. Of course, yesterday was a little bit of a downer with Mike Leake and Jimmy Nelson kind of not performing up to par. We did have some good pitchers like Cody Anderson, who performed well in his second start, and guys like Lance McCullers, who just continues to strike hitters out. But for today, there's a lot of good pitchers, so we got to get into it quickly and discuss who we like. Obviously, the top pitchers on the day are going to be, for me, Chris Sale, Danny Salazar, for multiple reasons. You don't have to look into that because they're two of the better pitchers in baseball, high strikeout rate, and they're very talented. But everybody knows about those guys, so I just want to discuss two guys that might be a little bit under the radar, and it leads to a better, more flexible cap that you can use for your daily fantasy lineup. So let's get right into it. One guy I want to talk about today is Taylor Jungmann, faces the Phillies. He's a tall right-handed pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. And the reason I like him today is because facing the Phillies, he has he meets every one of the thresholds I look for in my research. That's batting average against for the other team, slugging, isolated power, and weighted on base average. The only threshold they don't meet in terms of the Phillies batting is strikeouts. Now, Jungmann hasn't been a huge strikeout guy in his career in the minors, but he does have success recently, striking out 0 for 4 in all of his starts, and I believe he's averaging about 4.5 per start, which, while not a huge number, it can get the job done at his salary. In cash games, in 50-50s and head-to-heads, which is kind of the staple in daily fantasy baseball, you want to look for a guy that's not necessarily going to have the highest total, but a guy that's very safe and not very risky. And for me, that's Jungmann today. He has at least 11.3 DraftKings points and I believe over 7 or 8 points on FanDuel in every one of his starts. And while that's not a huge total, it gets the job done and allows you to spend up on hitters to try to get the higher totals and a little bit safer. It limits your risk and it gives you the ability to move closer to the cash line. Jungmann has gone at least 5 innings in every one of his starts, and an ability with that, it gives him the ability to get a win. And facing the Phillies, who are the worst team in baseball, it gives Milwaukee Brewers and Taylor Jungmann a higher chance to get that win, which is huge on FanDuel because those 4 points takes you a long way. Now, DraftKings, 4 points for the win is not as big, but it's still more points, and it brings you closer to that value, especially at his low price of under $7,000 on FanDuel, or actually I believe he's $7,200 on FanDuel and under $7,000 on DraftKings. Now, one thing I want to talk about with Jungmann is he uses a fastball and a curveball. It's only 2 pitches. Now, you guys have heard me talk about before that guys with 2 pitches sometimes struggle the third and fourth time through the order. But the difference in miles per hour with Jungmann's fastball and curveball is 16. And what that means is it gives him the ability to mix up pitches and mix up speeds, which makes the hitters ground out a lot. That's the reason why Jungmann's ground ball rate is so high this year. And you guys always know in baseball, ground ball is usually transformed to outs. The other pitcher I want to discuss today is a little bit guy under the radar, but he is a little bit expensive, is Ian Kennedy against the Seattle Mariners. Kennedy's right-handed pitcher for the San Diego Padres, and the reason why I like him is simply that matchup with the Mariners. We talked about how the Phillies meet all the thresholds except for strikeouts. The Mariners are just as bad, that they're in the quote-unquote green when you look at the spreadsheet that I put up, try to update a few times a week on RotoCurve under the MLB team batting tool. Now, you look in the green, those are offenses you want to target for pitchers, and that's exactly why I like Kennedy today. The Mariners are hitting just .225 against right-handed pitching. They're slugging .364. They only have a WOBA of .288. They're all at the bottom of the league in pretty much at any category. Another reason why I like Kennedy today, he pitches for a National League team against an American League team, but they're in the NL Park today. So the Mariners already porous offense is losing an extra hitter. They're losing that DH. One other thing is Kennedy is pitching in Petco Park, which has historically been a big park and has yielded the least amount of runs in baseball over the past few years. Now, it's simply because of how deep those alleys are. The walls are quite high and they're very deep, so it limits home runs, which is the one way that the Mariners can beat you. And with one less guy in their lineup and them struggling against righties, I think Ian Kennedy could be a little bit of a sleeper today, especially since he has 6 or more innings and 3 straight starts. He has at least 4 Ks in every start this year, which is big because that gives him a little bit of a floor. Now, he has blown up before, but since he's been pitching well of late, I'm going to target him against the Mariners today. There's one other pitcher I want to talk about, but he's going to have his own segment, so be sure to tune in soon to RotoCurve to see the next pitching video for the day. that pretty much wraps up our pitching segment today. So I'm targeting Sale and Salazar, but cheap guys like Taylor Jungmann and Ian Kennedy could be the key in tournaments and possibly in cash game if you want to spend up on those bats that Benny will be discussing soon.